This private academy is whispered to be built atop an old cemetery. That's why these tombstones encircle the school. Right now, we meet Susie, the dorm manager, who knows the peaceful days here are thanks to a hero. That hero is Susan, a towering force standing alone against an army of the undead guarding this very graveyard. He tears through the ranks of these cursed souls, hoping that one day he can return home. To understand how this all began, let's rewind to a year ago. Suin was then an orphaned student juggling work and study rescuing people at a pool despite not knowing how to swim. Some bullies wouldn't leave him alone, they even threw his beloved cat into the pool. Without hesitation, Sujin dove after it, nearly drowning beneath the water. When he woke up, his friend, Kang Shu, told him that he'd been saved by a mysterious young lady named Day, a girl admired by many, but who had always turned them away. To keep it simple, Day and Janzo were the only two who truly cared about Susan in this school. Now he fights with fierce determination to one day return to her side. Susie faces off against giant monsters summoning massive holy crosses to exorcise them, but some are beyond saving. He knows he must unleash even stronger measures. Back 1 year earlier, a young couple tries to sneak past the cemetery fence, but spots Susim and his cat. In the darkness, they mistake him for a ghost and flee. Meanwhile, Susim is just cleaning to earn money. He enjoys protecting the quiet grounds, especially when the weather is cool and the electricity runs freely. He even dives into games where, despite his real-life struggles, Suin is a legendary solo player, climbing to the top of the server without spending a dime or needing a team. Then, one day he sees a girl in trouble and steps in to help. She thanks him and introduces herself as Day. Before they can properly exchange names, Susim's computer suddenly crashes. He climbs a lamppost to fix the wires just as Day opens her window, bragging to her friends about the mysterious guy she just met. Mistaking Susan for a peeping Tom, her friends throw a pillow causing him to fall from the pole. He thought this new game would be his escape, a chance to surpass reality and change the world. But instead, Susan crumbled completely. Janzo reminded him that even if the game shuts down, real life still holds opportunities. Yet Suin just walked away because Day hadn't even seen his real face. At that moment, Susan felt like a boy hopelessly in love from afar. Yasuo didn't push him either, knowing Susie would find a way to rise from the ashes. That night, Day logged into the game early and waited for Susan. No one understood why the game was shutting down, but rumours spread whispers of a flower that could grant wishes, a last hope to stop the closure. Susan logged in meeting Day in the virtual world just 1 week before the final shutdown. Together, they decided to savour the last moments of this fleeting sanctuary. It was a small comfort before the dull monotony of real life resumed. There's a legend about a flower that grants wishes, a fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, it could stop the game from shutting down. Suin had just logged in with only 1 week left before the server closes forever. So both of them decide to spend this fleeting time savouring these last moments. It's a small comfort in a life otherwise painted with loneliness. As Suin's dull world trudges on, he overhears Dia's quest to find this wish-granting flower. He promises to help her. A new game just launched, letting players step into the shoes of a grave robber. To support players, the developers added a pay-to-win system. Money buys power, just like in those fiery, gun-blazing games. Now Suin feels completely hollow. There's nothing left to light up his days. Tonight marks the game's final sunset. But the game knows how to hold onto its players, offering a bold twist, transferring every asset from the old game to the new one. Dia's father still waits, clinging to the hope that someone will find the wish flower. Suin races against time, speeding to log in, only to stumble on the way. Meanwhile, Dia is desperately searching for the flower. Chaco's already been hunted down by a female assassin, hungry to unlock the secrets of the tomb, in the game her father, the last tombkeeper. Suddenly, a monstrous beast appears inside the game, swallowing players whole and stealing their gear. Dia fights back with everything she has. The assassin's weapon can siphon money from opponents, but only if they have less than her. 50 million was her treasure, but Dia is one of the 5 players with billions. She throws a gold ingot, striking the assassin's head. Suin has prepared everything, now he's ready to dive into the game. When Suin finally enters the game, only Day remains amidst the ruins. She reunites with Suin, regret shadowing her face for not yet finding the flower. But then, miraculously, the flower in her hand blooms the very one they sought. Their victory is short-lived when the monster strikes again, forcing the game to shut down. Yet fate hasn't abandoned Suin. The next morning, he meets Day face to face, realizing he has been by her side all along. Suin mourns his failure to save her in that final moment, but Day offers him a chance to make things right in the new game waiting ahead. News of Day's father's assassination shakes the nation to its core. Suri, hearing the rumors from Day, rushes to find her desperate to know how she's holding up. Arriving at the girls' dorm, Suri learns Day has already moved out, taken away by company agents, amidst the funeral's somber proceedings. Everyone feels sorrow for Day's deep loss. At the funeral, whispers swell some claim Day's father was drowning in debts, predicting hardship ahead for her. Yet the tech team honors his legacy, promising to make his final game a legendary success. Amid these voices, the weight of loss and hope hangs heavy in the air. In Suin's mind, visions of Day's father flicker an unexpected bond emerging between them. The next day, Day returns to see Suin apologizing for troubling him. Feeling stronger, she entrusts him with a mysterious device, a gaming console designed for the new world they must face. This device instantly recognizes Suin and registers him into the system. Confused, he struggles to grasp the situation. Day confesses she isn't her father's biological daughter, merely adopted knowing little of his past. Suddenly, a messenger arrives to inform Day she has a visitor. Meanwhile, Suin waits anxiously for the system to finish loading. Suin is stunned to find his in-game balance is 10 billion, accompanied by a heartfelt message from Day's father, revealing himself as Suin's biological grandfather. Though Suin can't recall why the money is meant to ensure happiness and safety for both him and Day, the message unveils a grim truth. Day's biological parents were murdered, and her grandfather took her in. Now, he charges Suin with protecting Day from looming threats. Suddenly, 2 debt collectors arrive to seize Day. Suin rushes to her aid, demanding they release her. Beaten down by the collectors, Suin holds his ground while Day sacrifices herself to stop the violence. He promises to repay the debt in her place, then hurries upstairs only to discover the in-game currency cannot be converted to real money. Day has been taken, but she thanks Suin for his brave attempt, vowing to remember him wherever she goes. Determined not to lose her Suin pedals after the kidnappers, Day throws open the door, reaching out to him. Suin lunges forward, but 2 men block his path, causing him to crash onto the street. Suddenly, a shadowy figure appears inside the vehicle. As Suin approaches, the car flips over, knocking the kidnappers unconscious. The mysterious figure leaves a chilling message Temujin is waiting. Then Day is whisked away. Stunned, Suin retreats to his room, bewildered by the stranger's identity and the fate of the game his grandfather created. Out of nowhere, a girl emerges from the device, calling Suin her master. She introduces herself as Star and pulls him directly into the game world. Transported to a vast desert, Suin is transformed into 2 tiny elemental spirits. Nearby, a band of tomb raiders prepares for their heist. Suddenly, a monstrous creature rises from the sands. Long ago, a goddess sacrificed her life to birth all living things, but her spirit now rests in eternal slumber, leaving behind immense power. Star, believing herself only a guide, slips back into the device, declining to fight. The creature tests whether Suin deserves to be the next Tomb Guardian. Suin's refusal to save Day puzzles the beast, which suspects he no longer cares for her fate. Instantly, Suin returns to the scene as the Tomb Raiders launch their attack. Their crossbow misfires, forcing a tense 5-minute reload. A female raider volunteers to act as decoy, while the Guardian warns Suin defeat Daewoo and earn recognition. Accepting the challenge, Suin watches as the Guardian frees a girl named Sophia, who calls him master and plants a kiss that unlocks buried memories of his grandfather. Recognizing the scarf gifted long ago, Suin feels a surge of clarity. The Guardian reveals his true identity, his grandfather alive within the game. The Tomb Raiders escalate their assault. A vanguard girl and her gang swarm in, forcing Suin and his grandfather to retreat deeper into the labyrinth. The Guardian's robot protector, crafted as their last defense, is shattered by a powerful strike, but this is only a facade. The real weapon lies hidden within. From afar, a sniper takes aim, shooting off one of the robot's legs. Cornered, Sophia and Suin draw their guns, firing at the sniper. Yet the team leader uses a mirror and a club card to hypnotize Suin, causing him to shoot blindly at glowing targets. His ammo, nearly gone, tension mounts as the Vanguard presses the attack. Outside, the Vanguard continues their assault, unleashing an insect swarm that hacks into the grandfather's data. As they vanish, he urges Suin to protect the goddess's tomb. This mission will lead him to save Day, and declares Suin the final tomb guardian. Filled with fury over his grandfather's death, Suin mounts a giant centipede and uses Sophia's distracted state to redirect her own shots back at her. The Vanguard girl is hit, and Suin deflects sniper fire with playing cards. Passing the test, Suin earns his place as the guardian. With her duty fulfilled, Sophia sends Suin to another realm to rest. There, Suin encounters a girl who claims to be the true guardian and shoots him. He awakens back in reality, wounds healed. Then a call arrives from a stranger named Temujin, requesting an urgent meeting. This story unfolds as a tapestry of sacrifice, trust, and the unbreakable bonds between past and present. Suin's journey is only beginning will he rise to protect Day and honour his grandfather's legacy. The path is perilous, but sometimes the smallest light can guide us through the darkest desert. If you've ever felt lost between loyalty and self-discovery, let Suin's story remind you that even in a world of shadows and trials, hope lives on in the courage to keep fighting. Thanks for joining this emotional adventure. May it inspire you to protect the precious bonds in your own life, just like our hero is about to do. And to reassure him, she showed a picture of Day, proving she was still safe. Meanwhile, the Tomb Raider Guild from before had now dragged along their big boss, sitting here waiting for rich rookies to pass by easy targets for their thievery and mischief. At this moment, Yasu headed to the library to study harder and prepare for the upcoming game trials. Like the game's official exam, Yasu introduced him to a friend who used to be a test player. As for the Tomb Raider Guild, two girls approached some inexperienced students. The moment they saw the beautiful elder sister asking for help to fight monsters, Liam blindly followed along, dragged into the chaos. Meanwhile, he investigated more about this game, learning that the top boss was Dak Tiger, the ruthless leader controlling a massive fortune and the entire game's power. They stole items and money from other players. The resistance against them was the guild led by a man named Temujin. Temujin was dangerous, willing to slaughter anything in his path. He feared Day might soon be another victim, trapped and helpless. Yet Temujin treated her like she belonged there, as if soon she wouldn't want to leave anymore. Returning to the Tomb Raiders, they lured naive students into their trap with sweet words. When caught, these kids threatened to expose them, but the big boss jumped in, showing off his skills, calling himself Wild Wolf Suzil. He searched Day's room but found no trace, hoping she was still safe. Meanwhile, Lean realised Day always valued him, keeping his character's image on her device. The Wild Wolf's Tomb Raider Guild had just robbed a fortune from new players, but the rich girl had a plan to stop their dirty business, threatening to report them. They spotted a miserable-looking guy and tried questioning him. Meanwhile, a girl from Temujin's guild wanted him to release Day, but he believed she was still too valuable. The Tomb Raiders learned of a powerful new player on par with the strongest faction leaders. This mysterious woman had stolen everything from the mightiest gang's accounts. Then, they set traps to rob new players, draining their funds until their stats dropped and they were kicked out of the game. After siphoning money from one victim, the girl shot at Leon's group, who launched attacks, but she dodged them all effortlessly. Eventually, she dropped her weapon, forming a cage to trap the three attackers. Wild Wolf was cornered, terrified, and tried to surrender his weapon, but as she turned away, he stabbed her from behind. His weapon could only steal money from those with less than him. He thought his 50 million was enough, but she was one of the 5 billionaires in the game. She dropped a gold orb and then his head. Suzil was now fully equipped and ready to enter the game. Star brought him in, and this time he must bring Day back safely. Star has pulled Suin into the world, and this time he's determined to bring Dia back. Meanwhile, the others wonder who this billionaire girl is. She reveals herself as a collector, someone destined to confront the infamous Tiger organization led by Dak. Back with Suin, he arrives at a place called the Jewel Arena. There he meets a kid trying to sneak in because he can't afford the entry fee. Suin offers him a ride through the skies. The kid's only goal is to meet the tournament's organizer. The gate fee is too steep otherwise. Basically, Suin's used to freeloading. Suzil, meanwhile, has tracked down the tournament's mastermind. The next match begins. The players include a blonde Tomb Raider who's trying to keep his distance and cage the warrior in layers of ice. But the kid won't let anyone win. He casts a spell that blinds Star and knocks both him and the blonde warrior down. Suin crushes the blonde player, making them the challengers for the prize. The kid apologizes for dragging Suin into this fight, but he desperately needs the money to save his sister, the most important person in his life. Together, they dive into battle. The kid's desperation fuels their fight, a raw emotion that turns the arena into a storm of will and heart. Their bond, fragile yet fierce, becomes the fire that refuses to be snuffed out. His power was unique, using photographs as weapons, each strike costing a fading memory from those images. Still, he didn't hesitate. No sacrifice was too great if it meant saving his sister. The bittersweet price of his power was a fading past, but his resolve burned brighter than ever. Yet, even sacrifice sometimes feels futile. Susan stepped in, urging the boy to cherish his memories with his sister. If he truly needed to win, Susan promised to fight on his behalf. The boy hadn't completed his mission, so everyone thought he was just a rookie dodging attacks, but eventually getting hit. He was frozen in place by a blow from the Viking warrior. Star stepped up to shield him and transformed, intending to show her true strength. But she accidentally morphed into a fluffy double puff form, leading to the Viking capturing and toying with her. The boy stepped forward, snatching her back, declaring this was the mark of a true man. The boy helped Star revert to her proper form. The judge recognized her as a high-level divine beast. She transformed into a two-headed dragon and unleashed twin fiery blasts, freezing and shattering the Viking, securing their victory. The boy handed Star the entire prize money, saying he was a billionaire and didn't need it. But Star revealed it was real money, which crushed him. He hadn't saved anything for himself. Feeling the weight of reality, he quietly left. The organizer didn't know his identity was he, the mysterious collector, but that figure was female, so probably not Suizem. Later, Suizem arrived at a newbie test site and met two people. One recognized her as a poor student who worked part-time. That was Zar, a classmate who often saw her dozing in class. The other youth wanted them to keep quiet, but Zar believed that since all three were participants, cooperation was best. Suddenly, the test supervisor Duyen appeared. We also learned the other youth was Titan. They ventured into a tomb stripped by previous explorers, but still haunted by monsters. Though the monsters looked weak, they were swift and troublesome. Zar suggested teaming up to fight, but Titan insisted on starting immediately. Before they could speak, more monsters charged. Their weapons were limited. Iza had a few rounds of ammo, Titan wielded a gauntlet shield, and Suin carried only a cloth. The monster's armor was tough, making physical attacks nearly useless. They learned they needed to kill the alpha monster, which boosted the others' defenses. Titan charged, smashing the alpha down with powerful punches, making the rest easier to handle. Xin, watching, silently vowed to devote his life to her. Meanwhile, back at school, Zar was nowhere to be found. The monsters were swiftly dealt with, but Suizem suspected the real challenge was still ahead, defeating Duyen. She hurled 3 throwing knives, one was blocked, another dodged, but Zar's fate was uncertain. Xin had a basic grasp of all 3 fighters. Titan was wary, suspecting the knives had side effects. Titan appeared to have invested heavily in the game, wielding impressive skills and gear. He planned to keep investing to protect Suizem. Xin wanted all 3 to take this seriously. Exar panicked when a knife hovered over his head and fainted on the spot. Xin glimpsed Suizem's unique cloth gear. When he tried to see the rest of her equipment, she refused. While Xin was distracted, Titan attacked with speed and skill, rivaling a seasoned pro. XR woke up realizing Titan was the 3-time reigning champion of this game. This year, however, Titan appeared grim and unlucky. Despite being forced into gaming by his father, Titan wanted them to join forces and hurry. Fate seemed cruel. Titan had to fight the goddess of his heart. Determined to prove his feelings, he charged into battle. Suizem transformed stylishly, her cloth skill channeling the spirit of fallen heroes. Zar struggled, but Suizem's mechanics helped him blend with the wind. He stealthily approached Xin to ask for help. Xin was being overwhelmed by Titan, but acknowledged his strength. She couldn't let him pass, though. Predicting an ambush, she stabbed Titan with a critical strike. His final words to Suizem expressed that gaming wasn't for him, but he was grateful to have found a friend. Suin learned Titan's wind transformation skill, believing he'd never truly win. At home, he boasted to his mother about his new friend. Indeed, they lived in a fancy apartment. Titan's wealth was real. Titan didn't believe Suizum's words and kept circling Xin while Suin moved to a nearby mine to find Duyin. He realized Duyin had stabbed Duzar earlier, but observed from another angle. She surrendered, and Titan understood he'd been tricked fighting a slime decoy. Now, Titan found Xin, and both were accepted into the academy free to form teams. Yet both wondered who Suin truly was. Titan attacked Xin, forcing them to flee into a cave. Xin couldn't fight yet, needing to recharge energy. Suin wanted to team with Xin, but she doubted his reliability. The academy called, saying his mission was complete and he could leave. Still, he couldn't abandon Xin, so he proposed a challenge. If he defeated Titan, she'd join his team. Jin approaches begging for a reset. Titan's overwhelming power forces him to admit defeat. He is strong undeniably. Yet she cannot let him pass. Her surprise attack is anticipated and pierced by a single thrust. S.A. breathes his last words to Suzul, confessing he's not cut out for this game, but grateful for a friend in her. Suin absorbs S.A.'s wind technique, believing Titan can never truly triumph. He brags to his mother about his new friend, and indeed, his home in the apartment complex marks him as wealthy. Titan, however, remained skeptical, doubting the reality of Suin's rise. Suizin's words echoed like a whisper of fate, so Xin stayed spinning in place, while Suin ventured into a nearby mine shaft, discovering a true destiny. You saw her strike from afar, unseen by many, but he was watching from another angle. She conceded defeat, and Titan finally realized he had been deceived, now facing a mass of slimy foes. The bitterness stung deeply. Titan too found Xin, and both were finally allowed to join the ranks. Freedom to form alliances stirred the air. She wondered who Suin really was, and Titan shared the same question. Suddenly, he charged, attacking both Suin and Xin, forcing them to flee. They hid in the mine Xin drained, unable to fight without energy. Suin wished to team up with Xin, but she doubted his intentions, thinking he wasn't their ally. He insisted he'd finished his mission and didn't need to stay, but he couldn't abandon Xin here. A challenge was set. If he could defeat Titan, she would join his team. Just then, the wall shattered and Titan charged in, eager to prove whether he or Suin was stronger. Suin immediately unleashed his wind transformation ability. Titan scoffed at such a useless skill, but in the hands of someone skilled, it was a deadly dance. Suin became the swirling wind darting around Titan's form. As he neared a strike, Suin twisted away like a gust, then countered fiercely. Titan stood firm, eyes sharp, and sent a blow skyward, knowing Suin was tethered to a decoy behind him. Suin was right in front, landing a hit on Titan's leg. Despite the injury, Titan fought on, but this wound became his weakness. Suin urged him to concede, yet Titan's pride, forged in illusions of greatness, refused defeat. He once won by brute strength, but was accused of buying victories, so he lashed out, forcing his family to silence the rumors with money. Until now, he'd lived by his father's will, but now he fought by his own. Titan used his wealth to upgrade his weapons, transforming them into fearsome tools of war. His presence now was a storm ready to break loose. This faction prepares to seize the sky floor, and upon hearing of a new tomb guardian, they immediately order a hunt to eliminate the target. Titan, burning with rage, decides to invest 100 million to crush Suzume. He steps forward to shield Rin, demanding she keep her promise. But she scoffs. How could a part-timer like him possibly have that kind of money? Just then, the vehicle crashes, flipping over and contorting as it begins to explode. The more money poured in, the fiercer the blast. A colossal explosion rocks the scene. Suzume and Rin survive, but are trapped under rubble. Suzume believes escape is near, just a matter of getting out and back in. As Rin retrieves the device, he asks to save his data, knowing Suzume's ability to glimpse opponents' items is invaluable. He needs her on his team. Suddenly, the collector's carriage charges in, freeing them both. Suzume senses overwhelming pressure and is shocked to see Suijin here, apparently flirting with a lolly. Rin also wants to speak with her about some matters, but Suzume warns Rin she's dangerous. Each person only wields one sacred weapon, but Suijin carries 10. From this, Rin deduces her true identity, the collector. Suijin's abilities are strong, but a bit troublesome, so she shoots Rin, once turning him into a doll for 2 minutes. During this time, she talks with Suzume before shooting a creature into Rin's mouth. She reveals the creature is the sausage dragon, the key to finding Sujin, who is now in Temujin's hands. Rin must not trust Temujin. Once inside, the dragon will guide him to Sujin. Suzume wants to uncover the secret between them and warns Rin never to trust Temujin, as sooner or later he'll come for him. She shoots at Temujin's scout, which Suzume and Rin spot. This scout is terrifyingly strong, wielding a pair of dangerous weapons. She warns Rin to be careful, but he recklessly rushes in, knowing this foe holds clues about Sujin's whereabouts. Rin surprises the scout with his speed, but the enemy is faster. When Rin demands information about Sujin, the scout remains silent, unleashing a deadly combo that nearly ends Rin. Suzume arrives just in time to block, and the two are forced to fight back to back. Rin, having joined the team, cannot afford to die here. The scout launches a storm of attacks, each strike marked by a rising count, the number of times Rin is slashed. Rin tries to charge in, but the count climbs, pushing him toward forced logout. Suzume understands, despite blocking, the count increases. Outside the game, Rin is banned for a day, unable to log back in. Suddenly, Temujin contacts Rin to negotiate a meeting with Sujin. Rin threatens Temujin if anything happens to Sujin, Temujin will pay the price. Temujin claims he captured Sujin to protect her, but Rin remains suspicious. This tense exchange reveals the complex web of trust and betrayal, power and desperation. Rin's journey is no longer just about survival. It's a battle to protect those he cares for, navigating a world where money, strength and secrets collide. If you've ever felt trapped by forces beyond your control, or like you're fighting against shadows in a realm that tests your spirit, remember Rin's struggle. Sometimes true strength is not only in power or wealth, but in the bonds we dare to trust. And if you find yourself torn between vengeance and forgiveness, between following your own path or the expectations of others, let this story light your way. Because even in the darkest battles, a single spark can ignite hope. Thanks for sharing this journey with me. There's going to be a festival on the 18th floor soon, a gateway to conquering the sky tier. You need to head there and find someone named Cage. You might not know everything yet, but once you arrive, things will start to make sense. Now, another conflict has surfaced. Back in the old game, you were unstoppable, but here in this new world, you still feel like you're falling short. That morning, you saw a group from school surrounding a girl who looked like she was in elementary school. You thought it was just a bunch of lollies, but when you saw her face, you realized who she really was, Suzim. The crowd grew jealous, throwing stones at you. You and Jin then went to a restaurant on campus, and when you saw Jin carrying a suitcase, you thought she might be moving in with you. But you felt uneasy inside the game. You were a rebel, but in real life you faded into the background while Rin shone brightly both online and offline. The staff asked both of you to order, since you'd been sitting for an hour and the crowd was waiting. You noticed Rin was working part-time here, so you nervously browsed the menu, ordering everything, astonished by how such a small girl could eat so much. You worried who would pay the bill. In this new game, you're rich. In real life, you're dirt poor, and freeloading felt embarrassing. Suddenly, the staff handed you the bill before serving the food. Then, the crowd barged in, calling you broke and mocking how you once clung to Day, but now chased after someone else. Jin stood up, defending you fiercely, reminding them you had over 100 million in-game currency, but they challenged you to prove it by paying with in-game money. That's when you learned the truth. Your 10 billion in-game currency was a virtual goldmine. You paid the bill seamlessly, so much that even the machine couldn't calculate the total. Afterwards, you and Jin returned to your room, only to be accused by other boys of playing both sides. When you saw Day missing and following someone else, you vowed to save her no matter what. You sensed Day's importance to Suzim and promised to rescue her at all costs. Together, you both entered the game and arrived at the 18th floor, the stage of a former level now transformed into this grand festival. Suzim explained that anyone could join this quest, which is why the crowd was so massive. There was no level limit, so both the weak and the strong gathered, each yearning to witness the legendary sky tier. When you tried to gather intel remotely, Suzim caused a hilarious misunderstanding with Jin by refusing to wear clothes, claiming it was her personal style. You got slapped for it, then went to eat together. Jin took most of the damage from the slap, losing a lot of health, while you, the poor student, settled for instant noodles. The crowd in the restaurant buzzed about this billionaire player's sudden arrival, making Suzim uncomfortable and ruining her appetite. They rushed towards Suzim, and you feared your cover was blown. You didn't like being the center of attention, and tried to confess to Suzim, but the others quickly left, so you switched topics. Suddenly, a flock of flying penguins appeared, each delivering a ring to teleport you all to the final challenge before the Sky Tier. You noticed the game admins had gone all out. This was no ordinary festival. Susie was ready to ascend, and together you slipped on the rings and teleported. The entire group arrived at the gateway to the Sky Tier, where Deck Tiger, the mastermind behind this trial, revealed the truth. This was all a cruel game to turn players into sacrifices. The floor's monsters appeared, but Deck Tiger didn't want to waste his pawns, so he wiped out the mobs in a single, devastating strike. Then the boss emerged, a blood pool formed, and from it rose Atlan, the very person Suzim had been searching for. The mysterious figure Kei, who you'd encountered before, also appeared wielding a mirror to teleport directly to Suzim. You realized this boss could heal by drawing power from the blood pool on the battlefield. Suddenly, Cage fell right on top of you. She seemed to recognize you as the Dewey she'd been waiting for and showed that Day was still alive. You tried calling out to Day, but she barely heard you. Just as she turned away, you caught a few words before the mirror shattered, and she sought her father's power. Meanwhile, Atlan was draining the weaker player's blood below, searching for a special type. He summoned a swarm of mosquitoes to suck out player's blood and feed it back to him. Though he hadn't found the right blood yet when he sensed Suzim's aura above, he knew he'd found enough strength and reluctantly accepted his fate. Atlan then approached Suzim, entrusting you with a key to the Sky Tier, while shifting into his second form to test you. He revealed a weak spot on his abdomen, and unveiled memories sealed within you. Once you enter the Sky Tier, all will be unlocked. You accepted the challenge and discovered the relic you'd been given had 7 forms and 7 unique powers. Unsure of each, you drew a sword that tripled your speed and struck Atlan twice, forcing him back into the healing pool. You tried to finish him off, but hit his head instead, triggering a counterattack that made him grow larger, powered by the blood pool. Not only was he bigger, but his fireballs burned stronger. You charged forward but got hit and cursed by Atlan. He gave you 80 seconds to defeat him before the curse detonated your health. Your sword broke, but the smoke it released healed nearby players. You dared Atlan to use his strongest attack, and he summoned a dragon that soared into the sky. Suzim and the others became a whirlwind as they rushed him, forcing Atlan to keep healing. Other players arrived to help Suzim, but Atlan refused to take any damage. When the dragon dove down, Suzim was still alive, but Atlan tried to finish her off. Suddenly, Atlan shattered without warning, leaving everyone stunned. Suzim explained that your broken sword was filled with oxygen, which flooded the battlefield. Since Atlan's body was made of iron-rich blood, the oxygen caused rapid oxidation, rusting him to dust. You relentlessly attacked, forcing Atlan to keep healing from his rusted wounds. The real trick was luring Atlan to use the dragon attack inside an electric field you created, causing his iron body to crumble. Players buzzed about Dewey's tactics, but you wondered what would happen once Atlan was defeated. Atlan believed you wouldn't pity him, and that he'd vanish, ending his mission. The seal on him began to lift as he ascended through the layers, unlocking powers like keys to a forgotten chest. 7 artifacts, 7 distinct abilities awaited their true purpose, still a mystery. He drew a sword that tripled his speed. With 2 swift strikes, he brought Atlan crashing to the bloodied ground. Pressing for the finish, he struck the head instead, only to be countered as Atlan grew larger, fueled by the blood pool. Not only did Atlan grow, his fiery breath became more devastating. Charging forward, he was struck and cursed. Atlan gave him 80 seconds to defeat him before the curse exploded his blood. His sword shattered, but a healing smoke enveloped him. He dared Atlan to unleash his strongest move. Atlan summoned a dragon, soaring into the sky, the battlefield trembling as a cyclone of fury descended. Suazin charged the dragon, striking Atlan hard enough to force him to heal again. Other players rallied to help, yet Atlan refused to take damage. When the dragon dove, Surin still stood, but Atlan sought to finish him. Suddenly, Atlan shattered into pieces, leaving confusion behind. Suazin explained the sword was infused with oxygen, when broken oxygen flooded the arena. Atlan, made of blood rich in iron, rusted and crumbled. Suizin relentlessly attacked, pushing Atlan's healing to falter under the corrosive rust. The secret to Atlan's destruction lay in the electric field Suizin lured the dragon into shattering its iron armor. Players whispered about Suizin's cunning, but he pondered what would become of Atlan if he truly won. Atlan claimed he had no need for mercy and would vanish, his mission ending. Suizin wondered why no high-level players appeared except for Tiger. He suspected powerful foes were lurking poised to strike, and he was right. The strongest preyed on others, treating Atlan like a mere boss to be farmed, fighting over the right to claim the kill. They never expected Suizin to defeat Atlan, who admitted the threat was real, forcing him to race against time to complete his mission before others could steal the prize. Suizin sensed he'd become a marked man. Enemies were closing in. He had to rush the core to the gate before it was too late. No sooner said than a gang appeared, eager to snatch the core from Suizin. They dismissed his boss, Killer's Luck, calling him a noob. Bold as brass, they attacked him like thugs. Suizin demanded Atlan's head back, while the gang leader harassed Care, pushing her to the edge. He turned back to his crew, brewing a storm of trouble. Knowing this fight was unavoidable, he asked Atlan to guard the core. Suddenly, the ringleader fired a sneaky shot and threatened to unleash $1 million weapon to finish the job. Proudly, he revealed a legendary weapon worth years of fortune, with each of his henchmen wielding their own hefty gear. It was a challenge Rin couldn't resist. He asked to see the real deal, and then unleashed a nearly $10 million spear that stunned everyone. This guy was no joke, a billionaire player. Just as the ringleader called for backup, Rin struck him with a perfect counterpunch, wiping out both Xin and himself. She rushed them to the gate, ready to use the key Atlant had entrusted to open it. Only the key holder could enter. Atlant followed, guiding him to a giant tree. She told him to consume the core to reclaim his lost memories. Outside, the delusional thug heard the call for his boss and was desperate to know who had stolen his boss. Meanwhile, Suin remembered how Atlant had led him here and realized the tree once guarded a protector who sacrificed her strength to free him from fate. That protector had lost her memories too, and here was where Suziam and Suin first met. The protector was forced to seal his memories to shield him from enemies. She used the core to create Atlant, assigning her the mission to awaken Susan when the time came. Now that duty was over, the protector would pass all her power to him. Every player who joined the boss fight earned rewards, filling the air with excitement. The boss's boss, hearing that a billionaire had stolen his prize, ordered his men to reveal their location. He knew the gateway to the upper levels and fired a devastating shot toward it. Duyen saw that Suziam's attack had succeeded, but they warned that defeating the boss would draw the attention of many powerful foes. That bullet was now speeding toward them, its force beyond measure. Just as the two girls were about to be struck, Suziam stepped forward, blocking the attack with one hand. Duyen noticed he had likely acquired some impressive gear. The delusional thug paled, shocked that Rin was unharmed. Xin wondered how he survived, and the answer was Atlant's blood armor, a shield that could boost his HP to the combined total of all players who fought the boss. That last hit had still drained a fifth of it, no small feat. The boss's boss, impressed to hear Suziam was still standing, grew curious. Meanwhile, the girls below clamoured to get Suziam's number. But KJ revealed this had been a trap set by higher-ups to lure weak players into a slaughter. Now that was done, she wanted Suziam to meet Temuzin. Yet he wanted to check on Duyen first before going. Generous, she arranged for Swin to reunite with her crush. He wasn't allowed to tell Duyen what had happened here, but he saw she was safe and believed he would come to rescue her. She promised to wait like it was the last day of their game world. This was a moment of quiet hope, a promise that even in this harsh realm, bonds could still light the darkest paths. And as confidence surged within them, the story reminded us all sometimes the greatest strength lies not in power, but in the faith we place in those we care about. If you've ever felt lost or powerless, remember this journey and know that even a small light can guide the way. Thanks for sharing this adventure with me. You're no longer the weakling you were before, so you just might pull off this rescue. Meanwhile, the Tiger Squad starts sensing the plan is off, because the one who brought down Aplan is far stronger than any of them. That mischievous monkey has already sprung into action to take down the thief who stole his boss. Someone watches uneasy at his blatant disregard for the rules. But the tigers let him run wild. Surin is gearing up to leave when suddenly he barrels straight toward the other players. He's desperate to find who dared snatch the boss. Surin knows this guy's trouble, but KJ urges him to get out fast. Other players quickly realize this monkey is one of Dak Taig's henchmen. He summons a golden monkey to block any escape. His plan massacre everyone. Surin has to step in, but the thug just laughs it off, entertained by the chaos. Kedar is ready with the portal pushing for Surin to leave. Yet Surin insists on naming the thief first. The monkey mocks and insults Surin, then turns back to finish the slaughter. Surin almost selfishly considers running, but a flash of Day's words stops him. He can't abandon this rescue. He asks Day to wait a moment, then leaps at the monkey. His system kicks in, ammo loaded and ready. The masked youth from before rushes in to shield Surin, throwing off the monkey's strike. Cage reveals his pupil, a protector of Temujin, just like her. He steps up to patch Surin's wounds, one of the rare players who earned the doctor title. The monkey gleeful demands a duel, but Pupil insists he alone can handle it. They charge at each other with lightning speed. The monkey matches the speed, but boasts greater strength. He slams a devastating blow into the ground, launching the king bow flying, unable to dodge the incoming shot. The monkey notes his power spikes each time he's hit, vowing to avoid contact. Pupil is saved when two more Temujin allies arrive, a mage and a tree controller who trap the monkey. He claims he's just 1 coin short of 1 billion, but despises the title. Suddenly, he grows huge, morphing his staff into a machine gun, unleashing a torrent of bullets at Suzim's group. Though the mage raises a wall, he knows it won't last long. The tree controller wraps a second protective layer with fruit. Suzim wonders why the monkey can't climb. The mage explains that only players with certain titles can ascend, like Pupil, who earn doctor status by crafting 10,000 potions. The tree controller mastered all elements to rise. Few know the title to hit 1 billion requires slaying hundreds of high-level foes, something even this monkey hasn't achieved. He believes killing someone over 1 billion will grant him the title, which is why he's hunting Suzim so fiercely. This unique title can shatter game limits, explaining why the collector wields 10 divine weapons. Suddenly the gunfire stops. Kagan moves in to check. She knows the monkey needs 3 minutes to reload, but once charged, his firepower multiplies 6-fold. Suzin hears this, but can't grasp the exact power. He decides to test his own strength, drawn from a special scarf. The monkey finishes reloading and unleashes a hailstorm of bullets. Kagan and the tree controller defend, but still take hits, yet no one falls. Suzin reveals he's enhanced his eyes with the scarf's power, letting him read reflected light to gather enemy data. This helps him predict attacks, his shadow guiding his dodges. The monkey hasn't backed down yet, revealing his bullets are actually bombs. KJ, fed up, offers him the fight he craves with Temujin. The monkey agrees, betting victory will earn him the 1 billion title and control of Temujin's guild. Kagan then leads the group to Temujin's castle, marking the end of this chapter. I think this anime got dropped, so no season 2 for us. Farewell. Thanks for joining me on this wild ride. Sometimes